Welcome to Creative Caregiving and Beyond. More and more people are having to become caregivers for their elderly loved ones, and navigating this journey can be really difficult. This podcast will provide guidance and give practical tips for your family. Your host is Wendy Whiteman, elder law attorney, author, speaker, and leading insight advisor in senior protocol and senior lifestyle trends. Know that you are not alone in getting the help that you need. Let's get started. And here's Wendy.
Welcome to another episode of Creative Caregiving and Beyond. Today we have a special guest, Jazmin Graham, who's the founder of the Sanctuary Resource Network. Jasmine, welcome.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here today.
Well, thanks for coming. I'm so excited because this is Social Worker Month,
Yes.
The month of March, to celebrate all the great things that you guys do.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to hear about some of the projects you have. But first, let's give us a little information about your background.
Okay, so I've been a social worker for about 11 years now.
Okay.
I started at Methodist Dallas
Okay.
in the indigent clinic, helping patients get their medications for free.
Oh.
And then I did that for about 2.5 years, and I went to JPS, John Peter Smith Hospital, and worked in their inpatient psych unit. I did that for a year. Got my clinical license during that time.
Okay.
And then I went to an insurance company and did like home-based social work. So I helped acute patients that were complex discharges or had high readmission rates to stay in their homes and get the services they needed in home, in the home instead of going to the hospital. And then I went to the VA. And I worked in community nursing homes and adult day health cares. And that was a great job. I did that for 5 years. And then the pandemic hit and the job changed a little bit. So I went to Baylor Scott & White, and that's where I am now full-time, working with the pharmacy team and again, helping patients get their medications that are unable to afford them.
Wow, that's amazing. There's just a wide array of things that a social worker can do.
Yes.
Wow, you've got a vast amount of experience.
Yeah, 10 years has gone by really fast, so I've enjoyed it. It's been a wild ride. I've learned a lot about myself personally, and I've seen how resilient people are.
Yes, yes. Very good. Well, I bet it's rewarding helping people as well. Yeah,
it is.
Yes.
Very rewarding.
And tiring, because I know you guys,
Yes.
every social worker I've ever met is like stretched. You know, they're constantly, they have a heart to help, and they're constantly, there's always somebody on the list. It's not like there's ever a break.
No. And then when you're off, you're still a social worker at home with your family. My husband says all the time, stop social working me. And I'm like, I'm not trying to, just trying to help you.
Just trying to help everyone.
Yes.
So tell me about the Sanctuary Resource Network.
So I started that in the height of the pandemic. I saw that there was a gap in continuing education for social workers, and so I wanted to fill in that gap and also provide some social work consulting to nursing homes and home health agencies that were seeing high turnover in their social work department. I think during the pandemic, a lot of social workers realized how burned out they were.
Right.
And so I just wanted to be able to offer them these agencies kind of like a fill-in during that time to help them through the hurdles that they were experiencing until they could find a full-time social worker. And so that's how that came about.
Well, and that's true. Sometimes you really don't realize where you are until you stop.
Yes.
And I think that happened to a lot of people during the pandemic and the quarantine. It's like, wow, I didn't realize I was going this fast and furious. Or you take a self-evaluation of your life. But a lot of great ideas have come out of that situation that we've had a chance to stop for a minute.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and you came up with this wonderful idea.
Well, thank you. I think that, like you said, I had to take a pause, and I realized that I was burned out and that I wanted to do something different. I didn't necessarily want to leave the profession, but I was tired. And so I left the VA. I was unemployed for about 6 months, and I really got to sit with myself and figure out what it was that I wanted to do. And so that's how the sanctuary came about.
So that's how the name, the importance of the name, sanctuary.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a place where you can go and and have respite, because I feel like caregivers really need respite. And like I said, personal and professional caregivers, you know, nurses and doctors and lawyers. I mean, you're constantly giving and you don't realize it, how much you're giving. And sometimes you're not being poured into. And so you just...
That's true. That's true.
You're burned.
Yeah. So what are some of the services you guys offer?
So right now we do continuing education to help agencies that want to provide that to social workers. And then we are trying to, I guess, find another niche, because right now everybody is getting continuing education. A lot of people are giving it for free because there are so many topics right now that are hot topics.
Everything's changed.
Yes, so, everything has changed. So we're kind of just trying to see what the market is right now and taking a step back, because as we discussed earlier, I'm kind of overextended right now.
Well, we want a sanctuary for you too.
Yes,
so, yes.
Yes. I need a social worker.
Yes. And now you've written a book.
Yes.
Tell us about the book here.
So this is Care for the Caregiver. It's a book I wrote to help personal and professional caregivers get through the caregiving journey. I am a mother of a toddler. She's 3 years old. So that's my caregiving experience outside of being a social worker.
Yes.
But I witnessed my parents take care of my grandparents. My dad actually was working full time and moved in with my grandmother to take care of her when she got diagnosed with colon cancer. And a few years before that, he took care of my grandfather. Until he passed away. And then my mother took care of my grandmother, who lived next door to us, and eventually had to move in with my mom so that she could provide full-time care to her. And she also worked full-time as a teacher while she did that. And so I just really saw their journey and how they struggled with putting their life on hold to provide care full-time. And then once my grandparents passed away, the struggle was, what do I do now? You know, how do I pick up the pieces and figure out who I am as an individual and what I want to do with my life now? So this book really just helps people to deal with the emotions of caregiving. I think that a lot of us feel like it's not okay to have negative emotions about it. And so when people ask, how are we doing? Oh, great. You know, everything's fine. I love what I'm doing. It's my mother. Why would I have a problem with doing this? You know, but it's a difficult task.
Yeah. It really can be, because my mom, lives with me, and I've been her caregiver along with caregivers I have that come in and help me. And you're right. And I was laughing about that when you said it's okay to have negative emotions. I think they've seen just about every negative emotion I have. If they saw this episode, they would really laugh. Oh, Wendy, she's got some negative. I'm getting over myself though, and so I can really relate to the book here. And really, because you give your all. I mean, I think the type of person that decides to be a caregiver is a giving type person anyway. And so they're going to give everything they have in them to make sure it's a good situation for the person they're caring for.
Well, and then, you're never off. You're always on.
No, you're never off.
I remember my mom being so frustrated because she felt like my grandmother could do more than what she was doing. And then after my grandmother passed, realizing my grandmother was giving all that she could give. And feeling remorse. But, as I told her, you have to give yourself grace, because you don't know. You're firing on all cylinders. You know, you're working full time, you're coming home, you're doing her laundry, you're doing your laundry. You're basically taking care of two households at the same time.
You really are.
You know, making sure her bills are paid, cooking dinner, making sure she ate her dinner. You know, it's just, you never have a moment to yourself other than, in my case, showering or using the bathroom, Those are the only times I'm by myself.
And you have a 3-year-old, so that is so true. It's very similar to that, and you that moment of just being by yourself for a second. And to think, because it is hard making those decisions when you, like you said, firing on all cylinders, and wondering, did I make the right decision? Did I make the right call on that one? Yeah,
I remember my dad struggling with putting my grandmother in respite for a weekend. Because he felt like she was going to believe that he didn't want to take care of her anymore, and he just needed a break,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and I don't even think she made it through the weekend. He went back and got her before, you know, that was over, because
Yeah.
he just felt so guilty. And
Yeah.
so I think that there is a real struggle between what you want to do and what you think you should do.
Yeah. And what you're able to do.
Yes.
What you're physically able to do. And I can relate to your dad. I mean, the first time I took some trips away from my mom, I mean, I'm just crying, you know, I'm just crying. And, but I got over it and grew, and definitely had to use the word of God to help me through that, because,
Yes.
you know, there's no condemnation in Christ Jesus. And so I really had to meditate on the word, and that helped me be a better person to be in a position to help her.
Yes.
And so I'm still working on it, but I understand what
Yes.
you're saying with your dad.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a constant work in progress.
It is.
You know,
It really
and
is.
you learn so much about yourself during the process. I remember my mom calling me and saying, you know, I don't know if I can keep doing this, but I know I need to, because, you know, especially in our culture,
Yeah.
it's almost an unsaid notion that you cannot put them in assisted living or nursing home care, so you have to take care of them. And that's great, but you also need assistance. And so my grandmother refused to have a home health aide. So my mom had to do everything,
bless
and her
her
siblings, you know, would step in, and
Yeah.
I would try to help, but nobody compared to my mom, it seemed like.
Yeah.
You know, she wanted my mom.
Yes.
And she would tell us, well, you didn't do it like Beverly. And you'd be so frustrated with her, because you're like, well, I'm trying the best that I can.
You've got to meet those standards and guidelines.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Well, you know, and that is so true. These
Yes.
are some very good points, and I know our audience is going to be able to relate to this, because it's real. It's real time. Everything you've said, I've experienced and experiencing right now. So you're absolutely right, and it is a love type, giving type situation, because you want to do the best you can.
The best you can.
Yeah, they raised you. They prayed for you. They encouraged you, and you're like, boy, I want to give back the same thing and make sure they're taken care of.
Yes.
And I've talked to my clients and other friends too that have used facilities too, and I tell them too, you know, don't feel like feel guilty either, or condemned either.
Right.
Because you've got to make the right choice for you.
Yes.
Yeah. And your loved ones.
And your loved ones.
Yeah.
You have to take care of yourself, and
Yes.
nobody can do it 24/7.
That's right.
365.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, and I think that we also have to extend grace to ourselves, which is the hardest thing to do.
Yes.
You know, we're
Yes.
our hardest critics.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but I have superwoman syndrome. You know, I think that I should be able to do everything right now.
Right.
And that's just not feasible.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't have it all. And that's what I tell people all the time. Society lies to us and says you can have it all, you can do it all right now. And that's not true.
It's not true.
There's no such thing as work-life balance.
No.
You know, there are times when work gets more than your personal life.
Right.
And then sometimes your personal life commands more than your work life.
Exactly.
But I have yet to find a time in my life where I felt like they were in sync with one another.
No, you're not. I mean, you're just not able to do that.
No.
No. But you know, I've learned. Someone gave me some advice. You know, give 100% to what's in front of you right then.
Yes.
And let everything else go, and not try to multitask or divide your mind.
Yes.
And say, well, I could be over there doing that, you know.
Yeah.
But you just can't.
You can't.
You can't. Yeah.
And I found when I was trying to, I was forgetting important things. You
Yes.
know, I was all over the place. I would have appointments that I would miss because my mind was somewhere else. You know, I just never was giving 100% to anything or anyone.
Right.
And I felt inept and incompetent. And then I was just like, I've got to stop because I'm constantly overwhelmed. Like, I'm waking up overwhelmed every morning.
Yeah.
Started having panic and anxiety attacks.
Yes.
And it's just no way to live, you know. It's okay to take a step back.
Yeah, it is.
And just give yourself some time, like to get yourself together.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. And I know a lot of caregivers, you know, experience that.
Yes.
So what tips would you give our caregivers? Anyone who's out there caring for a family or overseeing caregivers, or even relatives or family members who are going into a facility. I know I've had clients where they feel they have to go every day.
Oh my gosh, that was
And
my mom.
they have to stay so many hours, they have to go every day. And they're wearing themselves down
Yes.
as well. So their health, gets
Yes.
attacked as well because
Yes.
they can't physically do it all.
You can't do it all. I remember my mom going to the nursing home every day. She was bathing my grandmother, feeding her. She was interacting with the staff, and I was just like, Mom, this is your time to be doing what you need for
Right.
yourself. So I would advise caregivers to really take that time when someone else is able to help you to step away.
Okay.
Yeah. If it makes you feel better, take your cell phone with you so you don't miss any calls or correspondence from your loved one, but you have to step away. I would also encourage and advise vacations. And it doesn't have to be anywhere exotic. You might still be in the city, but nobody
Even
knows,
vacation,
yes,
yes.
that you're in the city.
Right.
Because you need to disconnect.
Yeah.
And then I would just advise extending grace to yourself and understanding that your loved one may not understand exactly why you're not around or why you're not providing care to them at that moment, but it's in their best interest for you to step away and to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
It's like the philosophy that the airlines use when the flight attendant says, put your mask on first before you put on your loved one's mask.
That's true.
If you're not able to take care of yourself, then you're not able to take care of your loved one.
That is so true. You do a better job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what I love to hear when I do get away is I find out my mom has had a better time since I've been gone. And I hear about all the different things they've done, and we had to grow to that point.
Yes.
But it did arrive, and
Yes.
so I love hearing that. So it gives others hope.
It does. And I think it also cuts down on the resentment that you start to build.
Yes,
When
yes.
you're constantly doing so much for the other person.
Right.
And I think, sometimes the person receiving the care doesn't see all the sacrifices that are made.
Right.
And so they just assume that, well, she's fine with doing all of this, and she's loving it. And I never hear her, complain, or see her cry or upset.
Right,
So they assume everything is fine. And I think that it's okay to communicate with them when you're struggling. Maybe not be hysterical,
Right.
Because you don't want them to be fearful of,
Exactly.
what's coming next if she's feeling this way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just being transparent sometimes and saying, I'm really struggling today, and
yeah.
I need some time to myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that you're taken care of, but
Yes.
I need to go watch something funny on TV or take a walk.
Yeah.
Just communication, I think. I have to do that with my 3-year-old. I did that yesterday. We had an incident where she's potty training, and I took her pull-up off.
Remember those days? Yes.
And I was about to put it in the trash, and the contents fell on the floor, and I didn't see it, and I stepped in it. And I was just so upset. And I just remember looking at her and her looking at me like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. And she even said, I'm sorry, Mommy, I didn't mean for you to step in that. It was an accident.
Right.
But just being frustrated because I've worked all day,
Right.
I've cooked dinner,
Yes.
and now I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I've stepped in it,
And you're like, okay, that just sums up my day today, but no.
Yes, exactly.
But you rebound from that.
Yes, you
rebound from
do.
that
And you
just-
realize that you have to laugh at yourself.
You really
know?
do. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yes.
Lots of laughter. That's kind of
Yes.
the thing I have with the caregivers around the house is like, we got to keep laughing. Just keep laughing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And keep encouraging people around you. You
Yes.
have to have a support system also as a caregiver,
Yes.
people that care for you. And, I try to send text messages to people, and I tell my clients, find somebody that brings joy to you. You may not be able to see them all the time, but have somebody that texts you a Bible verse or a joke.
Great idea.
Or a meme or something to
Yes.
kind of take you out of whatever it is you're dealing with right in the moment.
Yes, I'm laughing because when my mom was in skilled nursing and I was around the clock there, my husband sent me a little meme, and it was, I just thought about that. And that was like 3 years ago. I'm still laughing at that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
My dad sent me one last week. It was of a man that was too big for his tuxedo coat, and the button was struggling, and he said, may you be as strong as that button. And I was like, I need that today.
But had to be strong.
Yes.
That's an encouraging word.
Yes,
So,
it is. And it took me a long way because I was having a bad day that day, you know.
Yes.
But he didn't know that.
Right.
But it really helped me in that moment. So.
Very good, very good. Well, you're wise beyond your years.
Oh,
I tell
thank
you,
you.
You've got some wonderful tips for caregivers and families
you very
too.
much.
So
You know, my family has a long lineage of caregiving. My dad said that my grandmother took care of her mom
Really?
And dad, and he grew up with, I think, his grandmother in the home.
Okay.
And so it's just been a natural thing, I guess,
Yes.
for us.
Yeah.
And I know that as an only child, that's going to be my responsibility to take care of both of my parents. And
Yes.
so I'm trying to position myself where I have money to get a house big enough for all of us because we're going to need it.
You're gonna need it. You're gonna need it.
Yes.
Well, they just kind of set the standard there for your family.
Yes.
And they saw it. Yeah. Because I was wondering. I said, what would compel them to do it? What compels a person to actually become a caregiver and said, I'm gonna take this on?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that you have to have certain characteristics.
Yeah.
You have to have the desire first. I know that's how I felt about social work. When I first decided to become a social worker, I was just like, I have this strong desire to help
Yes.
and to nurture. And I saw so many hurting people, and I wanted to save all of them. But it's just not possible.
Right.
But I'm able to provide help on such a larger scale
Okay.
as a social worker than I am as Jasmine, I
Yes.
feel like.
Yeah.
Because I have the resources and the tools to do so.
To do it. That's wonderful. And I saw that, I was reading that you do some social work consulting.
Yes.
So what does that look like?
So that, I guess I will use the example of volunteering for the Midlothian Police Department.
Okay.
Just providing social work, licensed clinical social work to their crisis unit. And so going out and seeing residents that are struggling with mental illness and being that point of contact for them after that particular episode has concluded. And so following up with them, checking on them, making sure they have the resources, counseling resources, that they have their psychosocial needs met. So maybe they're struggling with housing or paying their bills, assisting with that. And then being just a support to the police officers and the staff at the department, you know, and just
because they see a lot and have to deal with a lot too. I would imagine they definitely need some support.
Yes. I mean, I've learned so much being a volunteer as a person, but also just as a social worker. You know, I've been kind of ignorant of the things that go on.
Right.
You know, because.
Well, I'm sure we all have. You have no idea until you're in the middle of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and it becomes a reality for you. And so just being able to be that support has just really been awesome.
Very good, very good. Well, you're giving back to the community, and you're teaching. You've done some teaching as well.
Yes, I'm teaching social work and healthcare at Texas Christian University. It's my first semester. I've really enjoyed it.
Wow.
Takes me back to when I was in school, and you know, just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yes.
Like I look at my students, and they have such a desire to give back.
That's amazing.
They really believe that they are the change that they want to see, and I think that's amazing.
Wow.
You know.
And you have to believe first. And they're going for it.
They are full steam ahead.
So you're affecting a lot of young lives.
Yes, I'm trying to. I'm trying to.
So you're working with a network of social workers. How large is the network? And I know it's growing and
oh my goodness,
form.
I mean,
put all this together single-handedly.
Yes, the profession has grown so much, Wendy.
Yes.
I mean, I am working with so many at Baylor, Scott and White, but then when I think about the sanctuary, I've had over 100 people enroll in my courses.
Wow.
And that hasn't been like rolling courses because I've had to step away during the pandemic to take care of my own personal things. But I feel very blessed to have had so much support from people that work in the field with me.
Yes.
And to get so much great feedback about what they'd like to see and learn more about, and what really helped them. Because I think that as a social worker, we always think that we're just helping clients, but we really rely on one another.
Yes.
Like you said, it's a network.
It's a network, and you're one person may have resources that another may not
Yes.
know about, and
Yes. I have always struggled with Medicare and all of the benefits
Yes.
with that. And so being able to pick up the phone or send an instant message and say, you know, what about this? Can you explain it to me? All the different parts, all the different Advantage plans.
Oh boy,
I mean,
yes, yes.
Oh my gosh, my parents are turning 65 this month.
Yes.
And my mom was so excited. She got her Medicare card in the mail, and she was like, I signed up. But just sifting through all the information.
It's a lot of information. It really is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And then, you know.
That's just one topic that concerns
Yes.
seniors. Yeah.
Yes.
You guys deal with a full array of topics.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I had a client that got scammed. She had somebody call and say, you know, you can get enrolled in this plan, and we're going to provide
no.
transportation
Oh,
to and
boy.
from your appointments. And she was dealing with stage 4 brain cancer.
Oh,
And she
wow.
changed her plan,
Oh,
and
my
it changed
gosh.
all of her doctors. So then having to help her re-enroll in the plan that she was initially in, I mean, it was a nightmare.
Oh, my
Trying to get
gosh.
to a live person, trying to talk to the right person, following the prompts for the phone. I was just like, I was overwhelmed. So I couldn't imagine being
person trying to
ill.
navigate that
yes,
themselves. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just giving up and saying, forget it. Like,
Yeah.
I give up.
Wow. Wow. And you're absolutely right. You know, social workers do all that hands-on work
Yes.
and coordinating, you know, for
Yes.
families. And wow, I have a lot of my clients have, that's the first thing they'll say, well, the social group said I probably should need to maybe talk to you possibly,
Yes.
or where do I go from here? Or, you know.
Yes.
And so there's a social worker, like a teacher, that touches everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I've referred to you because there have been times where people have said, well, you know, my loved one needs to go in a nursing home, but they have these assets. What do I do? And I'm like, listen, I can't advise you, but I know somebody that can. And she's going to, you know, help you through this process, because just like Medicare, it is very overwhelming to navigate.
It can be. It surely can be. And I just love the fact that you have these resources for caregivers and social workers, and the sanctuary concept. And if someone wants to get your book, as well as get in contact with you to take advantage of some of the
Yes.
CEU courses and just the information that you have, the support system, what would they do?
So they can contact me at sanctuaryresourcenetwork.com.
Okay.
And then my book is available for purchase on Target.com,
Okay.
Amazon.com, and BarnesandNoble.com.
Oh, very good. Very good. Let me see the book here. I'm
Yes.
going to hold it up here.
This is a copy
So
for
guys-
you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So this is a great book, and I'm going to definitely go through it myself, because I want to make sure that I am on
Yes.
track for as being a caregiver for my mom. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having
This has
me.
been wonderful. I'm encouraged already.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'm encouraged as well.
So I hope you've enjoyed our episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like us as well on social media, and reach out to a senior, because it just may brighten your day.